Hi guys. I'm a little early. Jamal's stuck in traffic, so I'm gonna try to bring him in on the group to give him time to get here. Y'all bear with me, okay? Okay. Hey Tanya, how are you? I'm trying to add Jamal because he's stuck in traffic. So, there you go. Oh, I'm waiting for him to come on in. I'm a few minutes early.
Hello,
Hey Jamal.
hello. How you doing?
Hey, I haven't started yet. I was just letting everybody know I came on a little bit early because you were stuck in traffic, so to give you time to get here.
Yeah, I'm
So
running little behind.
well, we're still a little early. We got 3 minutes, so it's 5:27. So you're still good.
Yeah, I know. I
Um,
just got to switch my
oh, okay,
uh thing. Give me
okay,
give me your. Hold on a minute. I think I gotta get off here on. If I ain't mistaken.
okay.
Hold on a minute.
Tanya, I'm glad you're here early. Is my visual good? My sound good? And you can see Jamal good?
Give me, Betrell.
You got to get up.
Give me your address again.
Oh, you're going to make me say that on Facebook?
No, not personally. You lie. Well, text it to me then. No, you
Okay.
text it
Hold on.
to me because
Hold on. Okay. Sorry, Tanya. Okay. I guess Jamal frozen right now. Hopefully, I won't have to add him back on. Nope, I shouldn't have to add him back on. Bear with me, Tanya. Yep, he frozen and he off again. That's one reason why we come on early, because this thing has just been trying to give us issues. I came on an hour early to get all the kinks out, but it looks like Jamal got cut off again because he's stuck in traffic. Hey, Vanessa. So his invite is in there. This thing. Y'all bear with me. No, he ain't gonna win today, Tanya. Well, anyway, Jamal is a little stuck in traffic. So I had to text him my address because I didn't want everybody to have my address that's out there. But anywho, um, we are right now at 5:30, so I'm waiting for him to chime back in. And until then, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Y'all know. Okay, there he go again. Okay. When we get a studio, we ain't gonna have all these issues. Okay, you back?
Hello?
Hey, you back? You get my address?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And Jamal, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave the door open so when you get here, you can just come on in. Excuse me, y'all.
All right.
Okay. It's 5:31, good people. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's Friday, so you know the deal. It's Friday, so let's talk for real. It's Friday, you know the deal. It's Friday, so let's talk for real. It's Friday, so let's talk. Let's talk for
Yeah,
real.
let's
Let's
talk.
talk with Shay and Trill. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. As you can see, Pastor Brown is joining us again on today. Me and Shay will be back together on next Friday. We know we had a lot of video challenges on last week, audio challenges on last week. So I said, I'm going to go back to the basics, get back on my phone, and get this thing started the way we wanted to. So last week we talked about, so you think you can build a man or a woman? And I know a lot of the audio got cut out, but some of the good pieces got in there. But basically, we was talking about how so many times we want to take on the position of God and thinking we're going to help assist him in making our mate. And a lot of times we don't follow the instructions, which is the word of God, and we get ourselves off track and we wind up getting something that we don't necessarily need, but we get what we want, and it's not necessarily what God has for us. But on today, we want to talk about, so what is on your mind? And when we're looking at it from the basis of relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's your marriage, your spouse, dating, or whatever it is, there are some key things that we are sometimes lacking in our relationships. So I'm going to let Jamal give us I know he does a lot of counseling with couples. What are the main topics a lot of times that couples come in that they having issues with within their relationship?
Well,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay.
Well, at least for me, I deal with three primary areas um, when I deal with relationships because these are 9 times out of 10 dealing with relationships. 9 times out of 10 it's one of these three areas or a combination of these areas that
Mm-hmm.
people are having an issue with. So the three areas that I normally deal with when I do couples counseling or counseling in regard to getting married,
Uh-huh.
I focus on these three areas because I like to look at it as a three-legged stool. And if
Mm-hmm.
any leg is missing, the stool is going to fall over.
True.
So I deal with communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one. Dating is the second.
Uh-huh.
And the third one is probably the number one killer of most, well, I think there's the consensus that it's the number one killer of most relationships, and that's finances or the lack thereof.
Okay, just to repeat, he said communication, dating, and finances, good people. So if you got your pen and paper, write that down because some of us are struggling with one of those three areas or all of those three areas in our relationships at this point in time. All right, Jamal.
And so, if you looked at it from though you, just to be quite honest, you probably could have a show dealing with each one of those areas um,
Yes.
all by themselves individually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think today we may just glance over all of them. But if you're dealing with any challenges in your relationship, it's got to do with those three. So it's kind of like your
Mm-hmm.
body. Your body needs three things in order to live. So
Uh-huh.
your body needs blood,
Mm-hmm.
it needs your heart,
Uh-huh.
and it needs your brain, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're gonna need those three. Well, there's a fourth one, your spinal cord, but you need those
Uh-huh.
three. Need those three areas. So it's the same thing with your relationship. Your relationship needs three. So your relationship
Uh-huh.
needs to be able communication. That's
Yes.
that's like it's got to flow like your blood. Your blood has to flow.
Mm-hmm.
If your blood stops flowing, in the place that the blood stops flowing, it dies.
Yes. And we got to understand communication is a two-way street. It's
Yes.
not one person talking and the other one not listening, but it takes your ears and your mouth.
Yes.
But a lot of times we use our mouths more than we use our ears. But
And
go ahead.
and ain't that amazing? And God gave us two ears but one mouth.
One mouth.
Two ears but one mouth. So the
That's right. We
listening,
are to listen more and talk less.
yes, ma'am. Listen
Mm-hmm.
and get this, just in terms of communication, listening with the intent to understand.
True. Mm-hmm.
That's important. Like that's really, really important. We have to listen with the intent to understand.
And note he didn't say debate. He said listen with the intent to understand, not to win,
Right.
not to debate,
Right.
not to argue, but to understand.
To understand.
Go ahead.
That
Yes.
that I believe is also what the Lord meant by the two shall become one flesh.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're listening in order to understand the heart of your mate.
Mm-hmm.
Because out of the heart does the mouth speak.
True.
So whatever's
Mm-hmm.
going on in the heart, the mouth is going to say it.
That's right. That's
So
right.
you got to listen with the intent to understand the heart. So I'm going to say it like
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm going to say it like this. Now, we all grown folks on this channel, I
That's
believe.
right.
So I want to say it like this. Listen with the intent to make love to the heart of your loved one.
Uh-huh.
You heard what I said? Listen with
Mm-hmm.
the intent to make love to the heart of your mate, of your loved one.
That's good. That's good.
You got to
Because
do
a
that.
lot of times we don't do that.
Right.
We
Listening.
do it with the fact that I want to get a win. I want to be victorious. I want my statement to override what's being discussed and that's why so many times we end our communication and our arguments mad
What?
because our intent was not to smooth it over.
Right. It was
It
to
was to make a point.
it was to make a point. It was the win. It was the
Hmm.
win. And really, we look to winning the battle but losing the war.
Right.
We
Hmm.
look to win the battle, but we done lost the war. So we don't
And that's
won.
why you
We
got to
don't.
have
We
wisdom.
we don't won the argument, but we lost our husband. We done lost our wife.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hmm.
You know,
Yes.
you win with the intent, and that leads me. Well, I mean, I guess we might be too soon for that, but that leads me into the dating. So
Uh-huh.
let me state this too. I actually learned this, to be quite honest, from from a a friend of both of ours, betrayal, Joy Curry.
Uh-huh.
I actually learned this
Okay.
from her, to be quite honest, Joy Curry. And relationships have, or communication has four levels, or there's four
Uh-huh.
communication styles. At least in terms of domestic violence, there's four communication styles, and one communication style is called passive. The other
Uh-huh.
communication style is called aggressive. The,
Uh-huh.
the other communication style is passive aggressive, and the other
Mm-hmm.
communication style is assertive. Well, that's real
Okay.
important to understand because we've seen, we've participated, we've heard of
Mm-hmm.
folks who have been passive. They just
Right.
their rights are being violated, but they don't stand up for themselves until
Uh-huh.
until they hit a breaking point.
Right.
Then, like pressure in a pipe, they explode.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, when we
Right.
explode, it's at the hold on a minute. Typically, when we explode,
And,
it's at the wrong time
right.
and in the
And
wrong
that's why
way.
passive is the most dangerous of those communications too,
Actually, it's not.
because that person is going to react, and the outcome is not always going to be positive, because now you don't back that person into a corner. So now when it comes out, it's aggressive.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So
Uh-huh.
they become aggressive.
Right.
I'm actually getting ready to walk into your house, so
That's
give
fine.
give me a moment. Give me one moment.
So we know he said that the communications is passive, and I'm getting him off of that so he can come on in. We're gonna get this thing once we get our studio, y'all. We're gonna have this thing right. But I'm for that so we can get the full thing of him. Hey, Pastor.
Hello.
Do
How
I
y'all
need
doing?
to go ahead and set yours up while you doing
Oh,
that?
okay. Well, I guess yeah. You know what you're doing. Here you
So,
go.
so you said passive. If you can repeat those for him.
Well, the four communication style:
Which one?
passive,
Uh-huh.
uh, aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
passive aggressive, and assertive.
Uh-huh.
Now, the reason why, just in terms of definition, passive is yes, in order for any relationship to operate successfully, it must have appropriate boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Any relationship, I don't care what it is, husband, wife, brother, sister, employer, employee. We're seeing that
Mm-hmm.
in the news right now with all of these celebrities and the men who have violated certain um, 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 protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What they did was they're accused of violating boundaries
Right.
in order for that working relationship to work. So no matter who you are, no matter what you're in, relationships were built to have healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And when we begin to cross those boundaries, then we begin to get in trouble. It holds true with even God. If you look at it, the Ten Commandments
Mm-hmm.
were boundaries that were being set. God was telling the children of Israel, hey, listen, I'm going to be your God. I'm going to provide and protect you and all of those kind of things. God was telling the children of Israel. However, here are some boundaries that you must follow in order for this relationship to remain healthy. You can't have no other gods before me.
I'm setting your camera up. You keep going.
You can't have no other gods before me.
Uh-huh.
Well, think about it. When we get married, don't we say, for better word, rich and poor, that you can't have nobody else but me?
That's true.
That's what we say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? In order for this relationship to work. So,
Thank you.
there you go. In order for this relationship to work. So, forgive us, we technologically challenged a little bit, but we're going to get it, though. The information, though, will
Well,
be
you
good.
focus on
Yes,
that
I'm
one.
at. All right. So, in order for it to work, so it's the same thing in our relationships. You must be honest with yourself and have healthy boundaries, period. All right?
Okay.
So when you have these healthy boundaries and they are spelled out, now everybody knows what the expectations are
Uh-huh.
regarding those boundaries. All right? Well, if you're passive, you allow folks to constantly cross over your boundaries. Now the problem is you're more concerned with way folks are thinking about you and all of that. But the problem is you're not being honest.
Uh-huh.
Because you don't like the fact that your boundaries are being crossed. And eventually, you're going to blow.
True.
Aggressive is exactly the opposite of passive.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive means I'm going to violate. It doesn't matter.
Yours
It's all about me.
Yours is not functioning
Yeah.
right.
It's all about me. You got to
Okay.
rotate it however you do it. It's all about me. And so, therefore, your boundaries will then you're crossing other people's boundaries. So you're being abusive with your words. You're calling people out of name. You're hitting them. Those kind of things. You're being abusive. You're controlling them mentally. Then you are being aggressive, and that's not healthy.
True.
All right, that gets folks thrown in jail. You get locked up for that kind of stuff. You lose jobs over that kind of stuff. So, but the one that is actually truly the worst is passive aggressive.
Right.
Now, this one is truly the worst, and this is the reason why most relationships don't work, especially on a job or what have you. So if you've heard of this or seen this, then you'll know when you hear it or see it moving forward. And that is this. Passive aggressive acts like I'm your friend. But then I'm trying to figure out a way to either hurt you, harm you, or undermine you. Understand that. So if you see it on your job, oh, we good and all that, but every time, you turn around, they trying to under-jab you. It's like a light tight little jab until you then go off on them or say, and then they act like, and watch this. This is what a passive-aggressive person will do. They'll act like they don't know why you going off.
And that also is in the marriage.
Yes.
Sometimes we be with our spouses so long that our communication becomes manipulative.
Yes.
And controlling.
Yes.
And a lot of times we try to act like we don't know what we're doing, because we as wives, we know there are certain ways that we could talk to our husband and we can get him to do anything we want him to do. We know when to use that manipulation. We know how to cry just right. We know how to make the right little face for him to give in. But sometimes we got to understand that is a form of manipulation.
Manipulation, yes, it is. And then there's assertive. Now, assertive is the most healthiest. And assertive is healthy because it allows you, in terms of communication styles, assertive allows you to be able to set your boundaries, but at the same time, you're respecting the other person's boundaries.
Right.
It is the most honest way of being in a relationship, a healthy relationship. So oftentimes what I tell my folks to do is set your boundaries, meaning understand, watch this word, your negotiables and non-negotiables. I think I've said this before on here. Understand what your negotiables and non-negotiables, and you need to be honest with that for you. Not to have the relationship, not to keep the person, but for you. Because if they're the right person, they're going to elevate to it. All right, so that's important. Now, I said that was communication. So that's just a quick blurb, if you will, on the communication part. The other stool that they got to pay attention to in terms of this, maybe what's on your mind, is this in regard to relationships. They got to date.
Yes.
And I think I've said this before. Dating is important.
Very important.
I was on my way here. I set up a date with my wife. All right? I set up a date because dating is about, again, getting to know the person you're with.
Right.
That's what the date is really about. You think about it, when you first met your spouse or whatever, they paid attention because they didn't know you. And because they didn't know you, they were trying to figure out what your favorite color was, where you like to eat at, what made you laugh, what stimulated your mind, all of those kind of things. We wanted to find out. What dating does is about exploration. Right. Now, the thing is that when we get married, we've been with someone for a while, we assume that we know them. We assume it. Now, this is the problem that we find about that. And I say the word assume because there are so many layers to the human psychology and who we are as human beings that we ourselves don't know about ourselves, that it takes time for us to get to know the full complexities of who this person is. And guess what? We all evolve.
Right. And that's why we have to be careful with that part of it with our spouses, because a lot of times we change like you said, we're forever evolving and we're changing. And because we are changing, if our spouses are not growing with us, then one or two things are going to happen. One person is going to feel like they're being left behind.
Right.
And then the person is going to feel like they're being neglected and not paid attention to. Then they're going to be like, oh, you didn't know. You start not noticing the little bitty things, like if they change their hair or change their appearance. And that's why people get comfortable with one another, because their spouses don't notice the little bitty things.
Right.
You know, and then you
Right.
start feeling like you're being taken for granted and you're not being heard and you're not being seen. And that's why it's easy for the work husband or the
Yes.
outside
I
man
was
to
just
start
thinking about
coming
that.
in, because he starts noticing what your husband or your wife is not noticing. That same thing happens to the man.
Yep.
You got that work wife or that person that sees all these little things. Oh, you done dropped a couple pounds, or oh, you done cut your hair different, or I like the way you got your beard shaped, or it's those little bitty things. And then you find yourself in a whole another situation because we take each other for granted.
Right. Well, that's the reason why dating is, and I'm gonna state this: if you're married or you're dating, let me share with you. I want you to wrap this equation, if you will, around your brain, your mind, your heart, and this is this.
Write it down.
Write it down. This is it. Watch this. I want you to think about this. Most of us work 40 hours a week. We work 40 hours a week. That means we are 40 hours out of the week. We are at our job at a minimum.
Right.
40 hours. So think about it. You work from 8 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it is. You come home. When you get home, the kids need this, kids need that. All you want is a Calgon moment, or if you're a guy, you just want to be you want to watch the game in peace. So that's another 2 to 3 hours right there. Put the kids homework, put the kids to bed. You're doing that Monday through Friday. Saturday come, the kids got soccer, ballet, got all of this other kind of stuff to do. By the time, and then Lord knows, don't be in AAU.
Yes.
You there all day long.
Yes.
Sunday, you go to well, I don't know, I'm assuming a lot of us on here right now are black, but even if you don't, your Sunday, you go to church. You there from 8, 9 o'clock that morning to about 1 or 2 o'clock. Go get something to eat.
Yeah.
And by the time you get done eating,
Sunday football's
on, you go to bed. Tell me where the intimacy of the dating time comes in. It doesn't. Guess what? They're at the job. I'm going back to that for 40 hours a week. If we're constantly doing the family thing, but we ain't investing in each other, the husband and wife, that is think who they're on the job with.
Yes. And look, this is the best analogy for it. Look at your electronics. All of us, we cannot go without our phones or our tablets, all that stuff. But what happens when that battery gets depleted? You're looking for a place to plug it up so you can recharge, because you're not going to let it go all the way down to zero. You're not going to do it. So
That's
it's same thing with our relationships. Why would you let your relationship deplete all the way down to it's about zero, it's in the red, before you decide to charge it? You need to be proactive. You proactive with your electronics. You're not going to let it get down but a certain way, and you're going to find, even if you got to borrow somebody's charger, you're going to make sure that you're going to get it back where it needs to be. Same way you got to look at your relationship. Don't let it deplete all the way down until now you got to shut it all the way down before it can power back up.
Exactly. It's about, again, your time management and making sure that you and your mate are now important again. Or guess what? The most important relationship.
Right.
Other than you and God, that's the most important relationship, okay? And let me state this. Let me please state this. Dating is about intimacy.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about the sexual intimacy. Again, it's about getting to know each other, and you need time to be able to do that. I was talking to one of my ministers, and I agree with him 100%. He said every quarter, him and his wife are just going to take it's just gonna take time to get away.
Yes.
Like to go somewhere. They went on a nice trip down to Miami, and he just got away. They enjoyed each other. They recaptured that. They enjoyed each other. And I was like, I'm with you, bro.
Because that's the main thing for
I'm with
us
you.
women. It's not about how much money you spend. It's the fact that you thought enough of me to plan something for me. We could care less if we go out there and you walk me down the park and hold my hand. Just the fact that you plan something with your spouse, especially us as women, because we are emotional creatures. We want to feel like we are important. So it means take some time in your date process with your wife. Don't just take her to the drive-through. Sit down with her. Hold her hand. Have some conversation with her. Don't just go to a place where you can get the TV so you can see your game either. Keep that in mind. Let it be candlelit sometimes. Let it have some music, some jazz to it sometimes. Be creative. Don't just take her anywhere. Please don't do that.
Yes. That's exactly right. Let me give you some tips. Just for the brothers that might be sitting out there or something like this. Watch this. Just in case you listen to my brothers. And again,
please, brothers.
I'm in the boat with you. So don't act like this has been trial and error for me. But I can tell you what might work. Okay, every woman's different, so you got to specify it to your woman. But I can tell you, you want to make love to your woman, make her some coffee. First in the morning when she gets up, let her get up to the smell of some coffee. Meaning you made that cup just for her. You made that cup. You put in the right amount of sugar. You paid attention to that. She likes 2 scoops versus 3 scoops. You paid attention to the type of creamer she liked. She liked French vanilla versus just plain old milk. All right, you paid it. Make her some coffee. Just paid attention to the small thing. Ain't gonna cost you nothing, but it'll get you a great reward.
Yes, it will.
You made her some coffee. Then you go through the day. Do some crazy stuff. Do stuff like you used to do. Listen. You know, we got them. Put the iPhone to use for you. Listen.
That's right.
Text her during the day. Say, girl, I was just thinking about you. You ought to see the thought I just had of you. I promise you, she gonna smile. She gonna say, you just crazy. He just crazy. But I bet you be on her mind. I tell you,
in her office laughing, and everybody gonna know what she's laughing about.
That's exactly right. They love that. That's I do that all the time. My wife says, you know what, you just about a crazy. But I'm crazy about her. Yeah.
And it's the most inexpensive thing you can do. It don't cost you nothing. It's free to have a thought about your wife. It's free.
Lord have mercy.
It don't cost you nothing.
I'm sweating right now.
You ain't got to go to Walmart, buy a car. You ain't got to go to the florist. You ain't got to do none of that. The thought about the idea of I've crossed your mind
through the day. That makes all the difference in the world. Then let me give you the cherry on top.
Put the cherry in.
Put the cherry on top. The whipped cream and the cherry. Come home, you cook. Then when you cook, and if you already cooking, my brother, watch this. Make her a Calgon bath and say, baby, this time is just for you. Make her a Calgon bath, and with now I know some of y'all are real religious and all that, and if this ain't your cup of tea, don't judge. But
how you think you got here?
But I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. But if she can't give her a glass of wine, of wine while she having a Calgon moment, she has a Calgon moment. Guess what, bruh? It done ran through her mind what she gonna do to you.
Cause she's relaxing now.
Relaxed.
You're thinking about her.
That's dating.
That's
dating. When you can do that, now you've made it harder for the next guy getting ready to. Cause watch this, brothers. If you think she look good, then you can guarantee somebody else do.
And let me even speak on for the brothers.
Go ahead.
I'm going to speak to the sisters out here. Because the same way he can woo you, you should be able to woo him. Every woman got a trench coat and some heels.
Woo!
And all heels ain't
Lord,
made for walking. Some heels
put the red
are
pumps
made
on. The
for
red
talking.
pumps. The red pumps. The red pumps.
And only thing you got to do is snapshot your feet. You hear what I say?
You preaching now.
Snapshot your feet.
You preaching
even
now.
If you don't even know how to walk in
you
there.
You preaching now.
Cross your leg,
Yeah.
snap that picture, and let him know that, brother, when you get home, this sister want to do some walking.
There you go.
And not only do you want to do some walking, you want to do some talking, because at the end of the day, it's not just about us. They like getting texts. They like getting flowers, despite what some of them say. It gives them joy for the boys to be coming in, giving him that. Oh, your wife don't send you flowers. Oh, she done did this. So why you can't give him an invitation? Put something in his glove compartment.
Ooh, you just hit something. Ooh, let me hit
Go
this.
ahead.
Ladies, let me hit this. Just for a moment. I'm just going to be honest. Every man want to feel like Tarzan.
That's right.
Even when he looked like Fred Flintstone, he want to feel like Tarzan.
Yes.
Now watch this.
That's too funny.
You should call him. It shouldn't be him every time starting that.
Yes.
Sometimes it should be you. Call him.
Even a quarterback sometimes want a touchdown.
Come on now.
Okay. Why he got to throw all the passes?
Throw me a pass.
Let him go in the end zone every now and then.
Throw me a pass.
That's it.
That's dating. Watch this. Because watch, this is real important. The reason why I'm saying all of this and the reason why Betrilla's saying all this, because the person, now you want to understand why he cheated or why she cheated?
Go ahead.
The person they cheated with was doing that.
Was doing everything that you ain't trying to do.
Everything you chose not to do.
His phone ringing.
Sorry. Everything they chose not to do.
Somebody will do.
Somebody else did it. That's how they got in there.
Yeah, we talked about missionary Mary and Delilah one time. That man don't want missionary Mary all the time. Get off your back sometime.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I'm sorry. Talking to the women.
I'm just saying.
All.
But this is real talk regarding relationships. And when you cultivate that, you can almost get through any storm.
That's
I believe
right.
you can, all right? But you got to invest in dating. And that means, ladies, please hear this, especially my church women, please hear this. Please hear the pastor.
Hear it, missionary Mary.
Please hear this. Listen.
Yes.
I understand you done had his children. And I understand the children are important.
Yes.
But the children should not. And I'm not talking about now if he's being abusive and all that. That's completely different. But remember, the relationship started from you two.
That's right.
The children shouldn't replace him.
No.
The baby ought not be sleeping in the middle of the bed.
Get that baby out of that bed. What is wrong with you?
That is sacred space. I'm just going to keep it 100. You ain't got to like, man.
Why are you sleeping with that bonnet on your head all the time?
I ain't want to go to the bonnet.
I'm sorry. The bonnets, the rollers, all that stuff. That man don't want to see that every time. And your hair braided back because up under your...
I ain't want to go to the bonnet.
And I ain't got none.
Watch
but
this.
It's okay.
Because I used to tell, listen. I got here after the first 5 years. First 5 years of my marriage was... My wife doesn't mind me saying it was not the best.
And we appreciate you.
It was rough. All right, we was on Splitsville, ready to break up. And one of the things I used to complain about is, see, when we was dating.
Oh yes.
But when it's one way. Then after you say I do, it appears. I know a lot of Christian men they complain about that. It goes another way.
She'll go from Victoria's Secret to Family Dollar.
Yeah. So watch this. Don't no man want a woman who gonna wear tube socks.
Oh my God.
Grandma drawers and long. You gonna wear a long grandma flannel nightgown. That is just unattractive. That's a hot mess. Don't nobody want that. say, no, Tanya, they don't want no satin bonnet neither. Take it off. Listen.
Lord have mercy.
Don't nobody want that.
Help
I'm
us, Lord.
serious. I'm serious. Don't nobody want that.
And
Listen.
don't nobody. Like, we talking about men too now.
Yes,
don't come in there with your boxers with all the holes in them, and your sweat socks, and your wife beaters that you don't wear to the nothing but the rim around your neck. We want something sexy too sometimes.
Amen. Amen. That's exactly right.
This is real talk.
This is real talk. So if you can't handle it,
we're trying to help you.
Change the channel. But this is real. I'm telling you what's in your house. We're discussing really what's going on in your house. Mm-hmm. If you want it, then you got to present it. Mm-hmm. And that means
you got how many years of marriage?
I have 20.
And we're coming up on 20 on Valentine's Day. So we have some experience.
That's almost 40 years.
40 years. And I wish I would have had somebody back then when I was coming up in marriage to be able to have these kind of conversations with me, so I'll know what I'm supposed to be doing as a wife. So why would you allow your friends or your loved ones to go through unnecessarily when you got tips and tools that can help them to get to 20 years in marriage?
Exactly.
So you got to be able to give your testimony and share your story so other people can understand that, look, yeah, you 2 years in, but if you don't watch it, you're going to be going down a different path that you don't have to.
Well, that's exactly right. And then the third leg I go to is finances. Mm-hmm. There's no romance without finance. And I know we're stuck for time, but I want to share this.
We can go ahead.
I want to share this in regard to finances. Finance is so critical that across the board, most of the relationship experts and all of that, they will tell you, if you research it, the number one killer of most relationships is not cheating. It's finances.
Yes.
So we got to get our finances in order. Now, typically, there's not always, I will state that, let me be clear, not always, but typically there's one that spends and the other one who saves.
I'm the spender.
Spend.
My husband's a saver.
Saver. Watch this. They're both important.
Yes.
All right. The reason why is because the spender will help you, will give you the motivation to do the big thing, to get out your comfort zone, to take a risk, to go ahead, and it's time now to go ahead and buy that new house. Where the spender might be slow to pull the trigger, but the saver will slow to pull the trigger, but they know how to save a dollar. That is important.
You need that balance.
You need the balance.
You need to be a responsible spender.
Yes. And you need to be able to balance that.
Yes.
That is important. There's a lot of stuff. This should be the season of getting healthy financially. I know that's what my wife and I are focusing on. So that means what? Let me state this. If you're on this call right here, this live, whatever you want to call it, then understand this. That you have to have a plan regarding your finances. So you need to look at your finances like a house. So in order to build your house, what's the first thing you need?
You got to have a foundation.
You got to have a solid rock.
Yes.
The Bible says, even Jesus, when he uses his analogy, he was a carpenter. He said one person, they were both carpenters. One built the house on a rock. The other one built the house on sand.
Yes.
He says, but the winds began to blow, and as the winds began to blow, one house stood, the other one fell. It's the same way with your relationships. It's the same way with your finances. What is the foundation of your relationship? What is the foundation of your finances?
Yeah, because what is your goal? What are you saving for?
Right.
You're not just saving for you to live right now. You're looking forward to retirement. You're looking at your kids' college funds. You're looking at what would happen if something happened to him in death. Because I could say, for example, I had a friend of mine, her spouse passed, he was 27. She didn't have any life insurance. She didn't have any burial insurance on him. She wasn't even a beneficiary for what he had. So I
Lord
learned from
Jesus.
her experience because she was stuck. She got stuck with all his debt. She got stuck with, she lost her house. She lost her car. All of that because she didn't have things in place to safeguard her, because we all got to dance that thing called death, and we want to make sure that our spouse is not left with that burden of what we're going to leave behind. So I made sure that I got enough that anything happened, his house is taken care of, the car is taken care of, his burial, all of that stuff is taken care of, and I'm gonna have some money. Not saying nothing gonna happen to him, but you have to take experiences like that and say, oh, I don't want this to happen to me. So a lot of times we don't want to have that conversation in our marriages because we don't want to look at the fact that one day our spouse might not be with us. And so you got to have some stuff in place for that.
Amen. Well, this is real important. I want to state this. Obviously, I don't know if you all know. I do. If I can help you or your family, if you don't have coverage, meaning life insurance coverage, I do that. That is my profession. I do that. I'm a licensed a life insurance agent. I can do life insurance annuities. I'm licensed in North Carolina, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Georgia, California, and Maryland and Virginia. If I didn't say that, so I can help you with the life insurance part. Let me state this. As a pastor,
Just plug that. Make sure you check your policies too, and make sure that the beneficiaries are who you want it to be.
Yes. Now that is so true. Because watch this. If he was married before,
Go ahead.
or she was married before, don't assume
it.
that the policy, or watch this, even let's say they worked for the state of North Carolina. And when he started working for the state, he was married. He wasn't married. His mama was the beneficiary. Well, once you get married, one of the things I teach my folks, the reason why I teach my folks is this. When I deal with it, I tell them immediately, I say, listen, you're getting married. You need to check all policies.
That's right.
Because when they started, they were one way. They were single, or they were married before. Somebody else was the beneficiary. Now that you done married the rascal, you should be the beneficiary, or at the very least, get a new policy.
Yes.
So that way you are taken care of. Because watch this, because whoever the beneficiary is, that's who's getting it.
That's it.
I don't care if they did marry somebody else.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who, and I can't tell you what that's like.
Ooh.
I've seen it.
It's ugly.
It's ugly. Especially if you've been married and they've been married. Now you've been married to him, and then all of a sudden he died, but the ex-wife get all the money. Woo, Lord, that's a bad day.
And ain't nothing you can say to
There ain't nothing you can say or do. There ain't nothing unless the Holy Ghost hit her and she decides she gonna break you off something. But I ain't seen that part happen yet.
No.
So I can't explain how critical. So let me state this in regard to foundation before we go. Life insurance should be one of the first things, and watch this, outside of your job that you should get.
Yes.
Life insurance should be one of the first things outside of the job that you should get. Why? Because life insurance is going to make sure you're protected. So let me give you 3 things in regard to life insurance, because folks think they know, and I'm finding out that a lot of folks don't know what they think they know. So let me just share with you just real quick, really. If you got term insurance is for one of 2 things primarily. The first one term is to replace income.
Right.
So to protect lifestyle, if you will. Replace income. What do you mean, preacher? Well, this is what I mean. If you have a term policy, you're paying a small premium for a term, 10, 15, 20, 30-year term for that long period of time. And then when that term is up, the life insurance policy cuts off. It ain't there no more. You got to reapply. But it is good if you have a new house, small children, then yes, I want to get me a term policy because the term is going to allow us. Bertrill lives in a nice house. We need to be able to pay off the house. We're protecting lifestyle because we're building something or we've built something. We don't want that person to have to to move or exit out without their free will because they gotta go because we can't pay the house no more. It also replaces income. And this is what I mean by that. There's a math behind it. If you need to know how much life insurance you need, listen to this and hear the math equation. I actually understand this from when I was working with Guardian Life Insurance, this equation, and it goes like this. If you remember 9/11, everybody remembers where they were on that Tuesday. 9/11, I had a cousin that died in 9/11, Linda Mayer. Miss her deeply. Well, Linda went to work that day early in order to set things up. When Linda got to work, she was in the first tower. The plane hit. She was, I'm not going to get into that, but she died. Want to share this with you. Everybody in 9/11, their loved ones who died, they were paid. They became, if you will, all intents and purposes, after everything was calculated and everything, they became millionaires overnight. Here's the math behind it. You need to look at your age. When you look at your age, go out. So let's say you're 45. Go out to age 65. Those are your working years. The average retirement age is around 65. I think it's going to 67 now, but let's use the one that most people know, 65. Well, that's a 20-year window. That means you need 20 years of coverage at least, right? Then you got to look at your income. So let's say you earn $50,000 a year. You go out 20 years. How much are you worth to your family? If I'm not mistaken, that's about $1 million. That means you need about that's what you're worth to your family in income. That over that 20 years, if you earn $50,000 a year, over 20 years, you're going to earn about $1 million. That's crazy to think about, but that's what happens. All right? So you got to look at that math and then be able to say, oh, that's how much I'm financially worth to my family members, to my wife, to my children, to replace that income. That's important. So that's what term does. Then there's whole life, universal life, these cash value policies. They're real good. You can utilize them if you are 20 years, well, let me say, if you're in your 30s, you need to hear this. 30 years and younger, you need to hear this. Now, if you're in your 40s, you might be able to get away because we'll probably still have Social Security the way we know it right now. But if you are not, if you're 30 years old or younger, you need to hear this because you need, watch what your jobs are doing. If you don't believe me, watch what your jobs are doing. Watch this now, especially for all my folks who work for DSS and all my folks who work for the public safety. It's not probation and parole no more, right? Public safety now, right? Okay. I want y'all to hear this for all my folks who work there, just so you'll know, you'll understand. You don't think I'm lying. Watch this now. You work for the state of North Carolina now. I remember when I worked for the state, I used to work with Bertrill, worked for the state of North Carolina in the early 90s, mid 90s. We worked there or what have you. Back then, the state would match your 401k. I bet you they're not matching no more. They don't match. They're talking to you and you ain't paying attention. They're telling you to dump your money in this and 401k, 403b, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, because you should. I'm not saying, but I would tell you if you're not matching, I'm not sure. They're not matching, I'm not sure. Because that money is for your retirement. So literally, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be putting money away for your retirement, because you got to think about the 40, the 50, the 60, the 70, the 80, the 90, the 100-year-old you. The person who plans for that person is the one you're looking at right now. That's the person who's going to do it. So you got to put a certain amount of your money away. You can put it on 401k plan. You can put it in 403 plan. But watch this. You can even utilize life insurance. You can utilize a cash value policy, put it in there, the death benefit's going to grow, the cash value is going to grow, and watch this, it acts like a Roth IRA because it's using taxable money going in, so therefore when it comes out, typically if it's structured right, it comes out tax-free. It's a good strategy that you may want to consider. Life insurance to be able to help yourself down the road, all right, in the retirement years, okay, as small part of your retirement plan. Obviously, the stocks, bonds, all of that kind of stuff you can get into, and I'm not going to tell you. But again, you don't build the house without the foundation. So for me, life insurance is the foundation while I'm building the house, because all of those other things got up and down, up and down. When you're dealing with the market that's up and down, you're going to take a risk of loss and all of that kind of stuff. You need to have it.
And we're still talking about finances.
Life insurance is finances. You got to have yourself protected. All right? Then you're saving for a house. Watch this, getting your credit score up.
Right.
Do you know what your credit score is? If you don't, find out what it is. All right? Then, yes, it's just important as car insurance. Matter of fact, in my opinion, it's more important, because guess what? You drive the car. The car can't drive without you. If you don't protect you, who's going to drive the car? So drive the car. So protect yourself. Get life insurance. And you ought to have life insurance outside the job. Watch this, because this is typically true with life insurance on the job. Most people say, well, I got life insurance on my job. That is true. However, if you look at it, life insurance normally is talking about, I'm going to pay you 1 time, 2 times what your salary is. Well, I just gave you the mathematical equation. If you paying $50,000 and they only going to give you $150,000, you only provided 3 years of coverage. 3. Think about it.
Do the math.
Do the math. You've only provided, but these are the folks you say you love. These are the folks you say you care about.
And these are the conversations you need to be having with your spouse, your loved ones, and whatever relationship you in, if you're talking about long term. Because these are conversations that you have to have. A lot of times people find out this stuff after the fact, and it's too late at that point.
Yes. I don't let me state this. The reason why this is, and I'm not going to say any names, I'm just going to say this was the eye opener for me. I'm a pastor. I've been pastoring now almost 10 years now, believe it or not. One of the things that I remember is at one of my churches, I remember a gentleman who passed away, and he was about my age. And he passed away. He had a wife with 4 children. His mother, a praying woman, loved her immensely, but he died. He died with no life insurance. Now, the thing that got me was when I went to the house, I went to the house to comfort the family, and like Batrill's got this nice, beautiful picture on his wall up here over the mantle. He had a big 60-inch screen TV on the wall. Time Warner Cable at the time, now it's Spectrum, no life insurance. Now, if anybody knows, you're paying at least $150, $200 for life insurance. I mean, for cable. But you won't pay it for life insurance. And brothers, let me say this. I got to get on this one right here real quick. Please get this, brothers. We're going to wrap it up. Please hear this, brothers. In regard to life insurance, please hear this. Watch this. Most of the brothers, every time I turn around, when they say, well, I don't know why I'm going to get it because I don't want her to have my money and spend it on the other guy. First of all, I'm just going to say that, really, that's crazy. That's selfish. As they would say, what they say, Felicia buy. Yeah, Felicia buy on it. Buy Felipe. Yeah, just buy. Listen. Yes. You not providing life insurance guarantees that the other guy's got to come in. It guarantees that she now has to find a way, because them are your kids. They eat. They need clothes. And if you don't provide a means, then she's got to figure out a way with you gone, because when you die, your income is gone.
Right.
So you want to make sure she's got enough that she's got options.
That's right.
She don't need the first breath and pants showing up saying, boo, I'll take. No. Them your kids. You make sure.
No.
Look, you want to make sure. Listen, and watch this. Watch this. If you provide the life insurance, watch this. Watch this now. Especially if you got a daughter. Please watch this. My daddy made sure we were taken care of. You think that little girl gonna let another man come up in the house and you done took care of it? Oh, mama gonna have a fight if before another man can come step up in there. If you provide the life insurance, she gonna have a fight. Oh no, could you imagine? That's almost guaranteed. If you want to make sure, if you want to be selfish a little bit, the little girl is your ally. She gonna make sure can't nobody else come up in there because my daddy provided this money.
So we see what's on Jamal's mind. It's this insurance.
I'm just saying. So if we got into that, but if I can help you with life insurance, let me give you my number. My number is 919-337-8304. I can take care of you. I can make sure. 919-337-8304.
Yes.
All right. And I can help you, take care of you. Give me a call. I can cover regardless of any health condition, pre-existing conditions, whether they have a heart attack, heart surgery, congestive heart failure, cancer, even HIV. I can cover. So give me a holler. Let me know. But listen, love on each other. Go on a date this weekend.
That's right.
Take the time for each other. All right. And do your thing. Build your future. Any way I can help. But Trill is the lady. Her and Shay, Shay is gonna come back. They're gonna blow your mind. I love coming on this show. It's gonna be a show. It's gonna be a syndicate show.
That's right.
Pick this show up, Steve Harvey.
Somebody,
or Oprah, somebody. We holla.
Yeah, so we're excited. Jamal's excited, but we wanted to talk about, we know we've gone way over our time. We thank you guys for your patience. We want to make sure that you be able to spend time with your family. And Shay will be back with us on next week. So we thank you guys for tuning in for Let's Talk for Real with Shay and Trill. And as always, our phenomenal guest, Pastor Jamal Brown. He makes sure he keeps it real, whether you want it or not. Thank you for the commercial, for the business. So it's Friday. You know the deal. It's Friday. So let's talk for real. It's Friday. So let's talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk with Shay and Trill. Let's talk. Let's talk for real. Let's talk. Let's talk for real.
Deuces.
Love you guys. Hit my finish over there.
All right.